Many associate sleep with rest, which for most of us that's true, but that is not always the case. If sleep has ever evaded you, I'm sure you know all too well the lack of sleep can be torture. It can be worse for those who do not dream pleasant dreams, but receive terrible visions that can haunt them even when they're awake. That's right, guys, we're going to be talking about nightmares and nightmare disorder. For this episode of Pop Culture Psychology, we're going to be using somebody you guys requested. That's right, we're going to use Freddy Krueger, the Dream Demon himself. Bitch.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big breaking TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
So let us first catch up the non-Dream Warriors on who Freddy is and the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise as a whole. Then we'll go straight into the power that dreams and nightmares have over the mind. Let me be the first to help those out who have nightmares about spoilers and give the spoiler warning now. Also, Freddy has a pretty horrific story, so be warned about that too. Also, as with many long-term horror movie franchises, there are multiple timelines. We're going to be focusing primarily on the Freddy's Nightmare timeline, also known as the main timeline that uses the earlier movies and the TV series. So the remake, the new Nightmare Demon, and Ashe vs. Freddy vs. Jason comics, which is a real thing, are not considered the main part of the storyline, so we're not going to be using them. I will, however, be using Freddy vs. Jason movies as canon because it's my channel and I don't care what anyone says. That's a pretty dope fan service movie. And like I said, my channel, so I get to keep it if I wanna. I feel like every time I'm adding something like that, I'm taking a shot at like Halloween Resurrection. It's like, no, I want to keep this one. Still fuck you, Resurrection, but that's what we're doing. Freddy Krueger is the product of a nun raped by 100 criminally insane maniacs. Yeah, I can't sugarcoat that one, sorry guys. Taken from his mother, raised by an adoptive drunk abuser, Freddy showed all the signs of a psychopath himself. These signs would prove to be accurate as in his mid-20s he became known as the Springwood Slasher. Family man during the day, serial killer by night, Freddy targeted the children of his elementary school classmates who tortured him when he was a child. He took the kids to the power plant boiler room where he worked during the day and now used the boiler room as a moonlight killer by night. His weapon of choice? The now trademark gloves which he used to mangle, torture, and do much worse to children. I'll let your imagination run wild with that. You're probably having the right idea on what I'm insinuating. Apparently he's now the Springfield Slasher. It's Springwood. Well, it could be Springfield. He's probably done a cameo on that. Pretty much everybody has. Meet the Krugers. He would discard their remains throughout town, becoming the Nightmare of Springwood and earning the title Springwood Slasher. Over 20 children would be subject to his razor glove before finally being caught and brought to justice. Or at least that was supposed to happen. Unfortunately, due to an arrest warrant being signed in the wrong place and there was a drunk judge proceeding over the trial, Freddy had to be let go. The townspeople, however, would not let the Springwood Slasher continue his reign of terror. They cornered him in his boiler room lair, doused him with gasoline, and then set him on fire where his physical form died. As he burned to death, the Dream Demons approached Freddy, offering to turn him into a Dream Demon himself. Freddy agreed and would continue his reign of terror on the children of the people who killed him. Where did the parents reside? Still in Springwood on Elm Street. As a Dream Demon, Freddy has the power to evade anyone's dream who lives on Elm Street, though he has found many ways to work around this.
Every town has an Elm Street.
While in people's dreams, he knows their hopes and fears as well as the power to alter their dreams to his desires. Anything he does in people's dreams, it happens in real life. Sorry, I'm gonna keep detracting. Is that a meme? Whatever happens in your dream happens in real life? Like, whenever you screw up a script in your dreams, you screw up your script in real life. Is it? That's what it is. Close enough. There's a Nightmare on Elm Street game, I'm sure, around there somewhere. You know what? Just in case this makes it through, if there is a Nightmare on Elm Street game, find like the cover of it and put it up. Put it up. Here. Put it up. Just because I'm curious now. This can be anything. Literally, it could be something as simple as getting claws from his fingers to making a ligament marionette and making them fall to their death. He is practically unstoppable in the dream world, and the only way to really hurt him is finding a way to drag him out of his dreams into the real world. Even then, he really can't be killed, only stopped temporarily. As long as Freddy is remembered by the children of Elm Street, he will always be in their nightmares. Freddy is truly as timeless as the memories of Elm Street. The burnt flesh from his Springwood Slasher barbecue days, the red and green striped sweater that that screams Christmas gifts for all the children, and the fedora he wears to miladies into people's dreams are all associated with Freddy, and even those who haven't seen the Nightmare on Elm Street movies know this pretty popular appearance. I don't think there'll ever be a time where he can be truly forgotten. In time, the children will remember him, and he'll be back to bring more nightmares. But you don't need to have a dream demon to have a crippling nightmare, though I'm sure he can help you if you don't. But is Dream Demon a title that is simply because he stalks people in their dreams, or is he a true personification of the terror that is Dream? Get ready, because we're now going into Freddy's territory to talk about nightmare disorder and see if Freddy Krueger is a true dream demon. I was going to put some info in here about when dreams occur and the cycles of sleep and all of that kind of stuff, but to be completely honest, it's not necessary to understand dreams. We can always go down that street in another video, but for this video in particular, we're going to stick to Elm Street and just namely talk about dreams. On to dreams. So without Freddy being involved, we really don't know anything about dreams. We have some philosophy and there's some hypothesis about these kind of things, but pretty much all we know for certain is that dreams are mental images that we experience in our sleep, and that's really it. Sometimes they are in the form of a story, sometimes they're broken images. One thing that seems to be overly common is the content of people's dreams seems to be whatever is on their mind, particularly if things are being avoided or people are having problems coping with them. That is a commonality though, and it's not an absolute. Like I said, there's not really much absolutes when it comes to dreams. I think that's why it's so hard to pin down. What it comes down to it is, dreams are weird, and understanding them is hard, even for science. This is one of those few territories where science just kind of goes, guys, this is hard. That's not in the script, it's just, that's the best way to explain it, really. So what's the difference between dreams and nightmares? Well, dreams are nightmares, first of all. They are a type of dream. Typically, nightmares have lengthy, elaborate story-like dream sequences and usually aren't all that broken up. They seem to be real and incite anxiety, fear, or just any negative emotion, really. These dreams tend to cause feelings of dread even after waking up, unlike dreams where you sometimes don't even remember them. They're usually, though, for a short burst of time. You don't tend to be overly focused on nightmares like a month from now. That's really the burnt meat of it, and all you really need to know before delving truly into nightmare disorder. I do want to say though, micronaps are a true thing. They really only last a few seconds and you don't remember them. You may remember jerking your head up after you doze off, but you don't really remember any dream in it. Why am I bringing this up? No reason. No reason at all. So how many people are affected by nightmare disorder? Well, about 1 out of every 2,500 people should stay away from Elm Street. Though nightmares are obvious a very vital part of nightmare disorder, there's a little more to it than that. As with all disorders, the DSM-5 has the criteria. Again, we're going to be talking about dreams. Nightmares are just a specific type of dream, so using the term nightmares beyond the title of the disorder really is too restricting for the disorder itself. It's just more accurate to refer to nightmares as what they are, which is dreams. So don't be confused if I don't use the term nightmares from here on out, and pretty much I just stick to the term dream. Just remember, dreams, nightmares, it's all dreams. It's important. Oh, and good on you, Freddy, for knowing that your title, in fact, should be Dream Demon and not Nightmare Demon. So back onto the criteria. The first criteria is dreams experienced need to be repeated, extended, and extremely dysphoric. And they need to be pretty well remembered too. It's hard to have a disorder based around something you don't even remember, though there's other criteria out there in different disorders that's not always the case. So what I am saying here is that the dreams that you are experiencing need to be that classic kind of reoccurring nightmare that the dreams need to be remembered well after being awake. For that part of that criteria, it's pretty specific, but when it comes to what you're actually dreaming, that's pretty open to interpretation, and it's intended to be so, as long as it creates negative feelings. That's kind of the dysphoric idea. The dream can be similar to a realistic traumatic event, such as the death of a loved one, where you are helpless to stop it, to a monster of a man with a clawed glove chasing you through 8 movies worth of boiler rooms. As long as the dreams cause bad feelings, like finger knives to the face, this is part of the criteria that is fulfilled easily. The next part of the criteria is the person needs to be almost if not immediately oriented and alert to their surroundings. People pulled out of deep sleep tend to be very disoriented, or think of it this way, when you wake up and you're kind of just like, huh, or you're awake for a split second, you're very clear-headed and then kind of get a little groggy. This is not true for nightmare disorder. You are awake, you are aware, and you are active. So Freddy most definitely personifies this, as those who are woken up by him tend to be very, very alert. Bleeding profusely by finger knives also tend to make people super alert. The final nightmare of the criteria is that dreams need to cause problems in a person's personal life or work life. So this is not just lack of sleep, but the dreams themselves and thinking about the dreams need to cause the problems in daily life to have this criteria fit. And yeah, again, Freddy Krueger most definitely has this fit him, as his influence definitely makes people have problems with their work and personal life, and usually having problems with their living life as well. Besides those criteria, nightmare disorders have different specific... I finally found a big word that there's my big boy word for the day. Gold star. Bling. In terms of duration, nightmare disorder is divided into acute, subacute, and persistent. Acute denotes that the nightmares occurring that are causing you problems are 1 month or less in time. Subacute denotes 1 to 6 months, and persistent is any amount of time beyond 6 months. For severity, it is categorized as mild, moderate, and severe. Mild is the average of 1 night of these dreams per week. Moderate is more than once a week, but less than nightly. And severe is every night you're having these dreams. It's severe for a reason. You would think Freddy is the personification of persistent and severe categories. And in terms of severity, no doubt that fits. Not only are the dreams nightly, but in many cases more than once in 24 hours. Those crazy kids falling asleep in the tub and falling asleep watching TV and pretty much falling asleep anytime the movie needs them to. Even if they take drugs and shit to stay awake. But yeah, he's totally severe. If you think about it, it's most likely that he's closer as far as the length of time into the acute category. Most people don't live long enough to hit subacute or persistent categories when Freddy's involved. I'm only really pointing this out just because it's a good reminder to really look at criteria and not make any assumptions about things. That's all that was. It's also important to note that the cause of these dreams cannot be due to any substances. If the nightmares are caused by any substance like alcohol or antihypnosil, then nightmare disorder does not apply. That would probably fall under something probably closer to substance abuse. Also, if another disorder fits better for an overall diagnostic, that takes precedence. Also, besides having your parents burn someone who takes kid-friendly the wrong way, there are some other factors that seem to increase the chances of being susceptible to nightmare disorder. Research has shown that there could be a good genetic component to it, and the chances increase if you have another parasomnia issue. For those who don't know, parasomnia is just some kind of sleep... How'd I get a fit of B in there? Bitch! For those who don't know, parasomnia is just an abnormality in sleeping, such as sleepwalking or sleep talking. Individuals who constantly have their sleep broken up or don't sleep enough also tend to become more susceptible as well. And of course, negative events also increase the chances of having nightmare disorder. I use the term negative very loosely. They don't necessarily have to be traumatic. Obviously, the more traumatic the event, the higher the chances increase, but you don't need to have something as extreme as, say, Freddy being your sleep buddy in order to develop nightmare disorder. Just negative. Just bad. Not good. Freddy messes with the statistics a little bit, as women tend to develop nightmare disorders more, almost double the chances of men. But while researching for this, Freddy's murder count tends to be more towards boys than girls, so way to go against the norm, Freddy. I just applauded you for killing people. You get the idea. But that's where Freddy kind of goes back into the norms, because nightmare disorders do tend to run specific for genders, and Freddy does like to tailor his dreams to people. For those who are curious, women classified with nightmare disorder tend to have nightmares about sexual assault on some varied level, or the disappearance, maybe even the death of a loved one. Men, however, classified with nightmare disorder tend to have their nightmares revolve around violence, war, or just subjects that invoke extreme terror.
I found Spencer!
So as we look into nightmare disorder and dreams in general, it is pretty easy to see why Freddy is the personification of this disorder and just bad dreams in general. The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, in my opinion, brought a very different element to the slasher movie genre. Freddy Krueger is a creature that dwells in your mind instead of the flesh, and that goes to show that not all real horrors need to be something you can escape. You can try to run away from Jason Voorhees. You can try to hide from Michael Myers. But with Freddy, you'll have to sleep eventually. You can't even try to really run and hide from him when it comes down to it. But that is Freddy Krueger. True nightmare disorder is treatable, and self-care is a good way to help reduce the chances of being susceptible to nightmare disorder. So for those who are concerned, be aware of that. As with Freddy though, getting the help you need to overcome him is doable. Just make sure you get the right help. As with finding treatment with nightmare disorder, learn from those who confront Freddy and those who teach us that having the wrong help, like morons who can't even follow the simple instructions like wake me up at this point, it's really no help at all.
I just asked you to do one thing. Just stay awake and watch me. Just wake me up if it looked like I was having a bad dream. And what did you do? You shit. You fell asleep.
There are different types of therapy and medications, more than I can even list, that can help you. So if your dreams are causing you trouble, get the help you need.
And as he's been terrifying in movies, that always hasn't been the case in video games, such as the video game we play frequently, Dead by Daylight. There he was a little less Springwood slasher and a little more cowboy girl from Toy Story. I'm glad you got the rework, Freddy. Think you're gonna be a lot of fun, and if you guys like horror games, I also strongly suggest checking out the video game for yourself.
If you like this video, don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and don't hit the snooze on that notify alarm so you know when the next episode is available before the Dream Demon comes after you. Until next time, sleep well and pleasant dreams. I just want to thank everyone who actually recommended us to do this video. I actually like hearing you guys' feedback, and I love hearing about everything you have to tell me in the comments. So once again, I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope this video did what you wanted it to do. Thanks again. Pleasant dreams, bitch. Yeah, that's not creepy. Fuck you. Just for my sake of ease, can you kind of do this? Oh. Yeah.